Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cars Adventures Rewatch podcast, where Robin and I rewatch every season of Cars Adventures and then go through them episode by episode to see how they hold up. Spoiler alert, the old ones don't hold up well. At all.
With a few exceptions.
With a few
exceptions.
Very, very few. Earlier this year, we struggled, and I mean struggled, through seasons 1, 2, and 3. And then we recorded an episode for season 4. And then I accidentally deleted the footage.
Only for that to get lost doing the working on the third iceberg.
Yeah, I lost all the footage of it when I was doing the third iceberg. And
we've been trying to record it again ever since, but never got around to it.
And now we finally are. Now I'm doing this now because December is always a really packed month on my channel with a full Cars Adventure season and 25 days suggestions. So I wanted to make sure I got this episode of the podcast out because season 4, what we're reviewing today, was the first ever Cars Adventures season to be released in December. It's a tradition that every December there's sort of a holiday-themed season of Cars Adventures, but back here in 2017, it really wasn't a holiday-themed season. It was just a regular season that sort of used the holiday variants. And over the years, this one has gained a reputation, in my opinion. Time and time again, I have looked down at this season as my least favorite season ever of Cars Adventures. And through going through these episodes, you're going to have to see if or how my opinion on this season has changed. Now, there are two main factors that I put behind why I really don't like this season. The first is the episode length. Some of the episodes here are so short. We're talking, like, most of them are 2 minutes or less.
You could say that like you would almost consider it a Cars Adventures shorts spin-off thing.
They're so short. Season 4, episode 17, 1 minute and 18 seconds. I believe, shortest Cars Adventures episode of all time. And the other thing...
it is the shortest one ever.
I think we clocked in the times for all of them once just to see. You know, for the record, if you watch modern Cars Adventures, 1 minute and 18 seconds is basically the recap and the intro for a Cars Adventures episode nowadays. That's the entire episode! And the other thing I really don't like about the season is it gets weirdly clickbaity, which is out of character for me, I think, as a YouTuber. I try to be as honest as I can in my titles, and here you get episodes like, I'm just going through the playlist now, and again, we'll do all these one by one, but we have Double O's Secret Talent. Oh, what is Double O hiding? It's just an episode where everybody does a talent show, and Double O's Secret Talent is in, like, the last 30 seconds. There's one really bad...
special.
No, it's not. There's one really bad example, which is season 4, episode 7, which, oh boy, we'll get to that one. There's one called Rise of the Next Gens, which is just an introduction episode for Ed Trunken, and it sounds super menacing, but it's not. He just gets hired. There are so many, like, weirdly clickbaity things, and that combined with the short episode lengths makes it on the surface look like a very bad season. But after what we've sat through so far with seasons 1, 2, and 3, which have horrendous episodes, very little plot, and way too much going on, will season 4 be better? That's what we're here to find out.
I mean, it can't be much worse, can it?
It can't be worse than season 1. And, I mean... Season 2. Season 3 didn't even have, like, a connecting plot. Anyway, we really should get started with Season 4, Episode 1, Ty's Tale. Now,
Should we just combine Episode 1, 2, and 3 in one recap?
Well, I'd like to go through them individually just so that people understand how little happens in each episode this season.
Okay.
So, Season 4, Episode 1, Ty's Tale, starts with me talking over the intro. We also have a special holiday intro, which was just my terrible holiday intro on my channel for this season, since this was before Cars Adventures had its own intro. And it's me, like, totally clipping the mic saying, I can't thank you guys enough for 90 subscribers. Like, here's a amazing, I call it an amazing special episode, special 3-parter about the origins of Ty. Ty, of course, is Fabulous's crew chief and the character named after me, whose whole thing was that he's built like a racer, but he can't race. And I don't know if that was stated before this 3-parter, but this 3-parter fully goes into it.
Yeah, I actually wrote down for this episode, Screamo for intro, which you already mentioned.
Uh-huh.
Also, like, a stupid detail that I noticed with the because it also shows the end of the race from season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3. And Danny came second, while it was Dale and Jackson to the flag. So I don't know how Danny came second. So that's just criticism to poor quality of Cars Adventures back then.
Yeah.
And the final one was Cars Adventures. Ty knows more about racing than real Ty.
Right. So the last season, for those of you who don't remember, and don't worry because I barely remember either, but if you're watching these back to back, you'll know. The last season's very loose plot was about Dale Earnhardt Jr. And his last race, which is actually something that stayed very consistent throughout Cars Adventures. Dale Earnhardt Jr., after this 3-parter, was officially retired out of the series since he was no longer racing, and I decided he's not racing, I'm going to retire him from the show, and he's one of very few characters to be sort of formally removed from the series with, like, a notable send-off. So the last episode of the last season ends with, as Robin said, him and Jackson neck and neck, and this episode starts with the end of that race, and here, somehow Danny comes in second. Now, this episode was released December 4th, 2017. I forgot to mention that before, is when the season started. And all the racers meet at the Racers Den and hang out, which was a little set that I'd built for the racers. I want to say I built it for Hey Cal, but I'm not entirely sure. Hey Cal was a movie that I was working on at the time. But
it's primarily the Good Next Gens.
Yeah, so the Good Next Gens are hanging out at the Racers Den. We did see the Racers Den last season, I believe. And Ty decides he's going to go over his backstory. And we see some interesting things. We see Ty, a weird silver and blue, or gold and blue, like primer Ty, and his friend Sargent, based on YouTube channel Sarge's Collection. Sargent was very briefly shown in the previous season, and it seems he and Ty go back a ways, and Ty, like, read all about racing and entered, I think, the Junior Piston Cup, sponsored by Fabulous Fuels, but long story short, he crashed and learned he couldn't race. That's part 1.
It's with the whole elaborate explanation of the pre-scene, and then briefly he goes over the flashback.
Yeah. Episode 2 is called Try. Do you want to go over this one? It's also very brief. It's less than 2 minutes.
Can I just go? Since they're so short, can I just do 2 and 3 together?
Yeah.
So literally, they could literally be the same episode.
Just explain when 2 stops and
episode
3 starts.
One stops and the other starts. But
yeah.
Well, let's get it go. So episode 2, Try, is basically what I remember from is that Ty goes to drive fast once again. I think.
It's at, like, his old hometown speedway, and yeah, he crashes.
Yeah, and he crashes, and then I think that then it goes to episode 3, where it's like, I think like it takes like half of the scene of episode 2 again, and then follows up with Ty getting rebuilt into a McQueen body.
Yeah.
I think.
So now he could race.
It's been a while since we've watched this, so.
Yeah, but that's it. I have the playlist up now. I'm going through the episodes. That is what happens. Episode 2 gets really, like, emotional and over-dramatic. Like, it's called Try. It's super dramatic, and is somehow not a pun on his name being Ty. That would have been really dumb. But, like, oh, it's Try. He's gonna try, you know, can he race again? He goes to his old hometown, and there's, like, an overswelling of, like, sad music when he's racing. Rare occasion of musical backing in a Cars Adventure scene that isn't a montage or intro or song. And
Cars Adventures, the Wild West of the early Cars Adventures.
Yeah, you never knew what you were gonna get. and Fabulous comes out, and then Ty crashes, and yeah, in this third episode, like Robin said, we start the first. I have the episode up. First, like half a minute is just re-showing the scene from the end of the previous episode, and then Ty is rebuilt by Ramon. The third episode is called Better Than New, a reference to the thing Maru says in Planes. And since this is early Cars Adventures, I don't remember, but I assume there's a very bad fourth wall break regarding that in this episode somewhere.
Yeah. There is a. I know the bad fourth wall break. This is one where they bring Rusty and Dusty in because they want the last fan vote for characters who should be in Cars Adventures.
Is that that is this episode? And they try to get Ty to race for Rusty's.
I know. I wrote it down, or else I would have forgotten it.
And they want Ty to race for Rusty's. I completely forgot about that part. And he's like, "Nah, I'm going to continue to be a crew chief." Why Rusty and Dusty come back for retirement? Rusty and Dusty, right, retire.
It wasn't because of Rusty's. It was just he was just going to race for them. It wasn't because of Rusty's or anything.
I think it's so dumb though. Why would they go back into the business and hire Ty, who was an old model and outdated model of racer? Just because he can race doesn't mean he can do it good. Conceal.
Moving on.
Well, to conceal what I just think this is funny because people watching the video will only be seeing the thumbnail, so you won't actually see Ty here. To conceal Ty's new design, this episode uses like a thumbnail based on the scene from the end of the last episode. I just think that's funny. Also, the thumbnails this season have text on them, which is something that never returned.
Almost all except the snow episodes, which we'll get to.
Yeah. Next we have MD and the Robbery. This, Ty has already been redesigned by this episode, for the record, using the gold and blue design that Ty would become known to have in Cars Adventures. And Ty and Fabulous and MD, the other YouTuber Next Gen, they're all hanging out in Radiator Springs. And then we see there's a robbery that's about to go down with a hauler named Jeff the Criminal Hauler. Jeff the Criminal Hauler was like the only hauler I owned at the time. So that's why he does the robbery.
Recurring villain.
Yeah. He appeared at the end of season 3.
With some pitties who effectively were the early version of the pity gang.
Yeah, I guess the concept of like pity gang has always sort of gone around in Cars Adventures and just on my channel in general. Yeah, so Jeff the Criminal Hauler, I don't know if he's called that here, but he is a criminal hauler. He first appeared at the end of last season where he was carrying a bunch of paint and dumped it all over. That's why the thumbnail says Return of the Hauler. There's this, so MD, he stops the robbery, and then the entire town shows up on, like, the mountaintop, including Finn, Holly, all the racers, which are, like, for whatever reason, Radiator Springs residents because they're self-inserts and Mary Sue's, and William. William is there. Lizzie's new husband, William, from the previous season, as portrayed by Petrov Trunkov. William will notably, like, spontaneously cease to exist a few seasons from now, so it's just always notable.
We'll get to him. We'll get to him.
Always notable to bring up when he shows up. And there's this wonderful scene where Jeff the Criminal Hauler opens up his doors and he glides down the cliff.
Which should not be possible according to physics. But then again, early Cars Adventures and physics do not exist together.
I tell people Cars Adventures is an alternate timeline where not all the next gens were hired by the time of Cars 3, or they all got sick or whatever stupid reason. The real truth is that
they all got sick. That's the official canon reason.
Cars Adventures is an alternate timeline where science and physics and math are are not present. Okay, when we get to like season 25, yeah. Miles Axelrod gets punted off the cliff, like all the way across Radiator Springs.
Don't spoil it.
I'm just saying, physics.
Yeah, okay.
Don't exist sometimes. The next episode sucks.
Let me do it to save you. Okay, so Cars Adventures episode 4-5 00's Secret Talent. Basically, all of the cars in Radiator Springs came up to the cliff to get the criminal hauler, but he escapes. So they decide to have a talent contest with all types of talents. And I already forgotten which ones they were, but it was, yeah, literally that.
I don't remember what Fillmore does. Uh,
He
Guido
does like
does an
one of
epic
them.
dance
One of them does
breakdown.
something like I think Fillmore like he started talking about something and everybody was like, "Please move on" or something. I think I don't know.
Ramon does like a fashion show, and then we jump cut to later, and he's like, "This is my 3,000th paint job I'm showing off." So like he just showed all of his paint jobs, and it would be funny if I didn't use such a high number, because then you're like, wait, he had him sit there for 3,000. If he was like, "This is my 20th one," it would be way funnier. You'll notice, just like all early Cars Adventures, a joke landing is one of the rarest things you could find.
Yeah, and also a lot of YouTuber stuff in this one.
Yeah, this season
According to my notes.
has just the worst fourth wall breaks. There's a whole scene where Lightning pretends to be a magician and he's going to make Fillmore disappear with the magic of video editing, so it jump cuts poorly and Fillmore's gone. This season is one of the worst offenders for fourth wall breaks. It's hard to find an episode without one. Breaking the fourth wall, like any other form of comedy, can't just be thrown out there. You know, and I was just doing it willy-nilly back in the day. There are times where it seems like I'm no longer playing characters and I'm just talking to the audience. At the very end, you might be wondering, what is Double O's secret talent? Double O begins to sing All-Star by Smash Mouth because it was 2017 and that was funny. This will go down in history as one of, if not the, only times that non-Cars Adventures audio was used in Cars Adventures. This was also notable because if you watch my channel, you know I like to occasionally throw in like funny movie clips or song clips in different videos and stuff. It could really help add to a joke, add to the editing. This was the first time I ever used copywritten material in a video. And I was terrified to do it, and it went so well that the outro goes for longer, just says Happy Holidays, and shows the final shot for way too long, and the song keeps playing after the outro ended.
And yet it's not even 3 minutes long.
Couldn't even hit 3 minutes. Okay, do you want to do the next
Anyway,
episode? The next episode is
yeah,
iconic.
I'll do the next. Yeah, there's the Kel. It's Kel versus Mater, and like so the plot is very simple. Mater and Holly are on a date, and Kel shows up saying that well, he and Holly used to go to the same school, even though they come from different countries. But
Yeah.
okay, and then he challenges Mater to like a talent show off their talent to impress Holly, and Holly doesn't even want it, and like Mater makes the I hated sand joke, and Kel becomes a monster truck, and
Yeah, Mater's like, I can
all
memorize...
types of jokes.
Yeah,
And-
Mater's like,
and
I could memorize every scene from Star Wars, and then it's just him doing the I don't like sand monologue from Attack of the Clones.
yeah, and then Ollie at the end to say, I'm sorry, Kel, just not like. I mean, it's obvious she would pick Mater. You're not gonna pick someone just because they beat your boyfriend at a talent show.
Yeah, so that's...
That would be terrible. And then Cal, I think this is the first time we actually hear Cal is lonely, because the joke was previously made about Stanley.
No, Cal is Lonely is in the previous season. When Cal flips
it's
over.
so long ago since we watched it.
But this is like the first modern Cal is Lonely, where it like slowly, sadly zooms in on Cal. Now, yeah.
The previous time was only with the song, with the full song thing.
Yeah. This is it just being like a jingle. This season is so bad that this is one of the best episodes. This is a very memorable one, in my opinion. When I think of the season, other than the fact that I hate this season, one of the first things that I think of is Cal versus Mater. Yeah, so I think Cal and Holly used to be together, and so they just have this stupid competition, and I think it's a funny concept. I've said this so many times in these rewatch episodes, but there are so many concepts that I think could be done so much better. Like an episode like this now, I think I could make it really funny with different characters that made significantly more sense, of course. But long-standing joke in Cars Adventures is that Cal's a bit of a loser. we root for him, but people kind of see him as a little lame.
Yep.
So
you can do the next one.
I'll go over the next one. The next one I alluded to earlier as the worst case of clickbait in Cars Adventures history. The next episode is called Pittymon, Gotta Catch 'Em All, so, it's a parody of Pokemon, which I've never played, or watched, or purchased. Yeah, so, if you look at the thumbnail, you'll see, wait a second, Buzz Lightyear is in the middle, and there are several cars covered in tinfoil. And that's because this one is really bad clickbait. I thought putting a Pokemon parody in my title would, make more people watch the episode. Spoiler alert, it did not, because it's barely about that. In the opening scene, Mater is playing the Cars Universe's version of Pokemon, which is two pitties fighting each other on a full-sized actual Nintendo 3DS. And I think it's a funny concept, but that segment ends less than 50 seconds into the episode. So, yeah, the actual plot of the episode is something I honestly think is pretty funny.
There's no plot. It's literally just a mess of things.
Yeah, so an alien lands in Radiator Springs, as portrayed by Buzz Lightyear, and it has this voice, I think it's kind of like this, if I'm recalling correctly. I can't believe I could still do that. And everyone freaks out. Fillmore covers himself in tinfoil. He's part of like an alien preparation club, I think. Was it the past episode where
he has no. He has an alien preparation class because everything was classes back then.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was a past episode where you mentioned that like there are constant jokes about people having different classes they're in for some reason.
Yeah.
Fillmore, there's actually like a funny visual gag in this episode. I think this is the one where Mater comes to Fillmore's alien preparation class, and Fillmore goes, "I'd like to thank everyone for showing up here," and it zooms out, and it's just Mater and Fillmore, and that's like the only joke in this season I think is actually funny, because I did film it in a good way where there could be any number of cars there. Because there's that classic trope of, oh, wear tinfoil on your head so the man can't get to you. Mater covers himself in tinfoil, as does Fillmore, and much like tape and string before it, tinfoil just becomes a fun thing I could use to mess with my cars. So, by the end of the episode, like, everybody is in tinfoil. There's even a joke where Ramon starts selling paint by tinfoil, a reference to paint by tape in the past season. And the way it ends, this meddled mess of an episode, is that it turns out the alien is actually just a remote control toy that a little girl, Coriander Widetrack, is playing with. And I think that's a funny concept. I think it was actually my mom came up with that concept, and I was like, that's a good idea. Unfortunately, the episode was not good.
The title made it worse.
This one, I considered to put this one on my top 3, because I think there is a funny idea there, but the title stops it. Presentation, awful.
Can I do the next 3
Yeah,
episodes?
the next 3.
Because nowadays they would just literally be one episode.
Yeah.
Together.
Okay, go for it.
So the next 3 episodes, which are Stranded Part 1, Stranded 2, Jump to Freedom, and Stranded 3, Holler Battle, are basically a story of Lightning returning to Radiator Springs after going grocery shopping. And then he helps another car named Michael. He gets him out of the snow. Then they travel together. That's episode 1. And in episodes 2, they come across this big, muddy river, and they jump to the other side. Lightning jumps first, and then Michael jumps, and he doesn't make it. And Lightning literally says, "Wow, most tragic Cars Adventure, death in Cars Adventures," and then, "Oh no!" Something stupid like that. And then it turns out that it wasn't even a river; it was literally just a road, which they don't follow because it doesn't head toward Radiator Springs.
Dude, did I say
why
that?
Why would you follow the road? Something like that. It was something similar that it didn't go in the direction of Radiator Springs, So they do the logical thing and continue going through the snow instead of following the road until they find one that does go to Radiator
Despite the
Springs.
fact that they're both, according to the name of the episode, stranded in the snow, and they have been.
Yeah, and then in the third episode, Baller Battle.
Do you want me to? Do you remember this one?
They come across the reoccurring villain, Jeff the Evil Hauler.
Oh, he's the worst villain in the whole show. He's so evil.
Yeah.
I know he's evil because evil's in his name.
They fight. Michael gets buried in the snow. Cal's Hauler shows up.
First
and
appearance.
They have a battle, Hauler battles. So eventually, Lightning escapes, and that's it. The story actually continues on in the next episode, Rise of the Next Generation Racers. So I'll just wrap up this part of that episode before we move on. So the Rise of the Next Gen starts with Lightning arriving home, and then quickly afterwards, Cal's Hauler and Michael arrive. I think after that they have beaten the Evil Hauler.
Yeah.
This is also these are the only 3 episodes without text in the title this season.
I actually filmed them. I used to film on an iPad. I filmed this on my old iPod, which is why there's no text on the title. The app to add text was not on my iPod, and that's also why the camera quality is worse. This was my attempt at doing a 3-part event. If you go deep enough in my channel, you could find, I think it's empty, but you could find a playlist specifically called Cars Adventures Stranded Event. This was how a TV channel would have a big multi-part event for one of their shows. This was Cars Adventures' attempt at that, and it was a poor attempt.
And you filmed it outside in the snow.
Yeah, so, I mean...
Wait, let me check if I have any notes on this. So so it's literally just the what, how, and Route 67. Oh yeah, that's another trend with early Cars Adventures. All the roads in the area are named Route 66, Route 67, as if they are street names.
Yeah, I wanted to add that this is, to me, so obviously a case of Ty bought new car, wants to use new car, which is a common issue in the days of early Cars Adventures, where a lot of it would just be like, look, I got a new item. And, I want to use that in a video. And that new item that week, what I'd recently purchased at the time of making this video was Cal Weathers' Hauler, who suddenly pops up out of nowhere and, decides to, he comes in and he saves them. One thing that I do like, which you didn't mention, in Stranded Part 1, when Lightning realizes he's stranded, he decides to make all the other Radiator Springs townies out of snow.
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
And they're just little snowballs of varying sizes, and he plays out a scene with them, and I think that's funny, and then he digs up Michael. Yeah. Said Muddy River, which you can see on screen, is, it's my sidewalk. Okay,
Yeah.
So as Robin said, Rise of the Next Generation Racers is the next episode, and it starts with Lightning coming into town. It starts with Mater waiting for Lightning to come back. Lightning comes into town with the Dinoco Hauler, and Michael, who I think he thought was dead, or at the very least, he thought Michael wasn't going to make it. Michael comes in, he's perfectly fine. Say goodbye to Michael Sparkburr. Ever since this episode, Michael hasn't been a significant character, and he's just been a random incidental who's played many roles.
He got one more relatively important moment, one more highlight later this season.
I don't remember that, so you'll have to let me know.
I'll point it out. I'll let you know when we get there.
Alright, so this episode, Rise of the Next Generation Racers, is 2 minutes and 46 seconds long. At a minute 33, we jump to what the episode is named after. Do you want to go over that real quick? Because I don't really remember it.
Yeah, it's basically Dud Throttleman gets called in by his boss, and his boss tells him he's being replaced by Ed Trunken. If you look at the title, it says, "Will Ed Trunken be evil?" Well, literally not. He comes in and he's like the biggest fan of Dud Throttleman, I believe, and Dud Throttleman becomes his crew chief, I think.
Ed Trunken is
pretty much. He's immediate. Ed Trunken is basically immediately a good next gen.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Ed Trunken's a rare case of a non-YouTuber being a good next gen.
There's a handful of those. With the next two that turn to the good next gens. Well, 3 actually. I think. I don't know, there are more next gens return to the good next gens that aren't YouTubers, but 2 of them are like. Oh, we'll get that. Never mind.
We'll get there. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to say for this one? It's fine.
No.
Okay. Good.
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah. All right. Can I move on to episode 12?
Yeah.
The Return of Sterling. Starts with Cars, I think, trying to get into Lizzie's, and there's just some weird dumb joke. Lizzie's roof opens up. They jump in, and I'm just fast-forwarding here, and, oh, there we go, found it, okay. 2 minutes and 17 seconds into this 2-minute, 45-second video, Sterling returns.
So, can I want to quickly mention,
Yeah.
This is like the only episode that Mike has any actual relevance.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
What does Sterling say? Do we remember what he does?
He comes in to announce that he has bought Octane, and I literally see no reason as to why he would go to Radio Springs literally just to say that.
Yeah. This is, I want to say, Sterling's first appearance in the show. But,
And also him having bought Octane is alluding to the fact that the evil hauler is an Octane hauler.
yeah. Sterling in Cars Adventures is literally like, I could only describe him as Lex Luthor. He's like smart, insane,
much.
evil genius. And for whatever dumb reason, same dumb reason I made the Thunder Hollow Cars evil several seasons from now. Anyway, the next episode is called The Revenge of Jackson Storm. And this is an episode in Cars Adventures. Starts with Jackson Storm being told to do some stuff, or someone being told to do some stuff. And Lightning's holding a practice race for retired racers, or not retired racers, but older racers. And one of those racers is Aiden Fast, a minor character we've seen before in the past season and throughout this season. He is a plastic Lightning McQueen repaint, and he dies. He dies. That's it.
Yeah, he gets blown up.
He gets blown up, and Jackson Storm.
His death was so casual that when I made the original death compilation, I forgot to include this.
Yeah, he was missing. Now there are two notable things.
Forgettable.
There are two notable things. The only thing significant about this is that I made a next gen for the sponsor and threw it in Ties Cars 4. Fade and Paint Company. The only significant thing about this is that I took the sponsor Fade and Paint Company and made my final project for my graphic design class in my first semester of college, a Fade and Paint box. So thank you, Aiden Fast, for inspiring a final project that I did pretty well on last semester.
He may be the character. This character himself may be forgotten, but his legacy lives on.
My teacher did not understand when I said I wanted to put a picture of a race car on the side of the box. He was like, "Why do you want to do that?" So I didn't. Anyway, remember the fact that Jackson is allegedly the one who caused this explosion. Because you know who didn't remember? Me! When 3 episodes later, I made the plot of the episode, Who Blew Up Aiden Fast? Because I completely forgot the fact that we see that Jackson is the one who did it! But Jackson was not the one who did it.
Let's first go to the 2 episodes, the plots in between.
Oh wait, can I mention...
Pool rescue.
Yeah. Before we go to the pool arc. One last thing, this episode has stop-motion racing segments for some reason. And that was something I was trying out at the time. That's it. It looks bad and it's inconsistent.
That's like why it actually was on my top 3 earlier, but I removed it because I liked another episode more.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to go on to the next 2 episodes, which are completely unrelated to the previous one, when you would expect that they would dive into what happened.
When I think December,
so,
I think pool. And that's where they go for the next 2 episodes, the Radiator Springs pool. I don't know if we've seen it before, but we've seen it since.
Yeah, so basically, Lightning and Mater go to the pool, they rescue a car, they keep dragging him out, and then Mater randomly throws him back in for, I don't know, it was like a misunderstanding or something. Okay. And they get him out eventually, and then, yeah.
Mater almost drowned someone several times. And then at
Mater
the end,
versus a drowning. Also, the thumbnail says Mater versus a drowning car.
Is this somebody else say that? That's amazing. Versus like he's fighting this guy who's drowning.
That's actually what it says.
Mater versus a drowning car. That's awful. Can I go over how this one ends because it's amazing. You know how he gets out of the water finally? RV! RV lands in the water, and he splashes down, and he shoots the other car out of the water, and the drowning car is no longer drowning. RV was there because he was a splash racer that I had at the time, which meant he could go in water. Another case of Ty uses what items he has just for no reason. It's a very toys over
It goes
plot.
on in the next. It goes into the next episode when the main villain of the season, the evil hauler,
Evil
shows
Hauler.
up again
Yeah.
with the piddies, and they've like I don't know they've stolen something, I don't know. So Lightning calls on RV, and RV has like the splash racer RV has like this thing in him that shoots water if
Out of
he's
his
in water.
nose.
And
Yeah.
literally, so RV fights the truck by shooting him with the water out of his nose. And eventually, I don't know if he got captured or if he escaped, or I don't know how it ended. But it's just also it's one of the shortest episodes,
Yeah.
even for this season.
It just ends with RV tackling him like a wrestler.
Yeah.
It's, you may have noticed from our recap, this episode has a lot of like mini arcs, 2 or 3-part stories, and I will say at the very least it has more plot than last season, because there is a recurring villain. Yeah. Does the recurring villain very infrequently show up, and is the recurring villain only there because I don't know why he's there. I just thought it'd be fun to mess around with a hauler for a bit while filming, I guess. But I think that's genuinely the reason why. But it does have more plot than last season. And I kind of applaud myself for the fact that there are continuing plot points, even though the arcs have nothing to do with each other. The next episode, Mystery Solved, which I mentioned earlier, continues the not only the Sterling plot, but also the Revenge of Jackson Storm plot and the death of Aiden Fast. And I think this is the one that also ties in, and I want to say, is this the one that concludes the Jeff the Criminal Hauler plot? I believe it is.
Yeah, at least for this season.
Because after this, we get into almost exclusively holiday special episodes. So here in episode 16 of 24, we kind of get the plots concluded, and I will say, for early Cars Adventures, they do come together in a semi-clever way. I don't think this was the original plan, but I think things kind of fell into place as I made the season. As Robin mentioned earlier, Sterling bought Octane Gain. Jeff the Criminal Hauler is actually Sterling's own personal hauler who was impersonating the Octane Gain hauler to commit crimes. Fenn and Holly tell Lightning and Mater this. I don't really remember how they found out. But yeah, they found that out.
I don't know. Maybe the thumbnail shows the what the original canceled plot line, because there was like two canceled episodes.
Yeah,
I know
I'll go over those.
The videos that didn't come out. So basically, in the original, the canceled plotline, Professor Z was going to be like good and help them with figuring out.
Because what you
then also it was like even though like that ended up not being put into the season, still it was still something to do with All in All as to why they blew up, and also keep the All in All in mind for future seasons, because it is actually a quite important factor to the plot at some point.
Yeah, so All in All was used by, I guess, Sterling. Sterling is the one who ended up doing it. Sterling blew up Aiden Fast.
Like you said earlier in episode 14, it was heavily alluded to that episode 13. That there was just like that Jackson Storm was the one to blow up Aiden Fast, and then the thumbnail for this episode, it literally says who blew up Faden.
It wasn't Storm, because I had completely forgotten the fact that, oh wait, we literally showed Jackson Storm killing him. I didn't realize it until I was uploading this video, so I quickly threw it together in the thumbnail instead of reshooting the video, which is literally like 2 uncut scenes. But yeah, Sterling bought Octane Gain, used All in All to blow up one of the veteran racers, And like
His
Robin
collar
said,
blew up the veteran racer technically.
oh right. That's dumb, but okay. And
Oh, and Bobby Swift becomes the new Octane owner.
he's not even in this episode. But there are several characters in the
But,
thumbnail.
at least it was mentioned at some point that he became the new owner.
That's
Something
never
like that.
mentioned again, though. Yeah, there are several cars in the thumbnail to try to throw you off of who did it. Sterling, Professor Z, Lizzie, and yeah,
Professor Z was there because of the canceled plotline, I think.
yeah, yeah. That original canceled plotline, which I believe you could see on my channel in my videos. I never uploaded video. I believe because the footage was saved for several years after we saw that that Professor Z was going to help them track it all down. But yeah, that's how this season's stupid plot ends. And the next few episodes are all about Christmas, starting with how Lizzie became a millionaire. Lizzie has gotten an absolute ton of money recently. I think it was mentioned that Radiator Springs didn't have much money because, yes, throw in another plot cliche in this season. We need that. And Lizzie, I believe that was said. Sorry, again, we watched these episodes 6 months ago, and I just briefly went over some of the more important ones. As you could tell, Lizzie became a millionaire. The shortest episode in the series is not a very important one. Lizzie recorded a holiday album. That's it. The episode.
And apparently she got rich. She's one of several cars in Radiator Springs to get stupidly rich and never actually do anything with it.
Like Ramon with Paint by Tape, apparently making a ton of money.
But Ramon, Guido at some point, Sally, there's like, it gets mentioned in like a later season.
Yeah, so that's it. Lizzie had a Christmas album. All the songs are about Stanley. That's the joke. That is the end.
How does she get rich from selling that?
Because she has such a beautiful voice. That's the joke. The joke is it's not funny. I'll do the next episode, The Christmas Rush, which is well, it's an episode. The Christmas Rush is called.
It's the start of you using certain
Hess trucks.
The
all over.
Yeah.
I recently. Gasp! You're telling me that I started to incorporate a ton of stuff into Cars Adventures because I just took it out and thought it would be fun to use in Cars Adventures? Well, an absolute ton of Hess trucks are used for the next few episodes as large vehicles. To this day, one Hess truck is still used in Cars Adventures. We'll get to him in the far future. Anyway.
Not a truck.
He's a helicopter. The company is Hess truck. In this episode, The Christmas Rush, Lightning is he's tasked by Wingo, rare early season good tuner appearance, to buy a gift for Wingo's nephew, which is this giant, like, drivable toy truck, which is, of course, a Hess truck. And we see all the cars in the store trying to buy it. We see a really bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impression at one time. I think we see the ad for it, right? And it's just me doing a bad Schwarzenegger impression.
Yeah.
Lightning wants to get the truck, and he ends up fighting over Francesco. Fighting with Francesco because Francesco has a sick son who wants it too, and that's never been mentioned again.
Something like that.
No, when I rewatched this, I was like, oh, the joke is going to be Francesco is a jerk, and he's telling McQueen, my son is sick, please, I need it, as like to bait him. But surprisingly, that's not the joke I went with. Francesco's son is legit sick, and he's never mentioned again. I hope he's okay. I should also mention that this episode has one of just the dumbest openings. I don't know if you remember this. You'll remember it as soon as I say it. Mater just drives up to Sally, nothing to do with the episode at all, and goes, Sally, I just had a really bad dream last night. Sally goes, what was it about? And Mater goes, Cars 2. And then Lightning shows up. And then...
It's if you were to make that joke now, it would be plates, but... Yeah.
And then Finn McMissile drives up, and again, in a better, like, setting, with me being better at making videos, this could honestly be really funny. Finn suddenly shows up, and they start having this casual conversation, like, Major's like, hey, Finn, weren't you in this movie one time? And Finn was like, yeah, and Major's like, what's it called? And he goes, Cars 2, and they all scream. Another example of really bad fourth wall break, and something that genuinely could be funny if I did it now. And like Robin said, if I were to do it now, it would almost definitely be about planes instead.
Yeah, also worth noting that the Cozy Cone, before this season, it was like a single paper cone, and here it's gone because for Christmas you would get the Precision Series Cozy Cone.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing there in this season.
Because last season, the cone was deflated by a mad scientist. Real plot point. I was really banking off of getting that for Christmas. I didn't know I was going to get it. If I didn't get it, I'd be screwed. I did not have a backup plan if I didn't get the cozy cone for Christmas. It's just gone. Anyway, yeah, Lightning lets Francesco have the truck, but there's a miniature version of the truck inside, which Lightning takes. And a few episodes later, Francesco shows up again and tells Lightning, hey, it's okay that you took that. The next episode is called Back from the Future. Do you want to do this one?
Yeah, okay, so...
Oh, wait, can I go over what happened with Dinoco real quick?
Sure.
So, I realized that I could take apart plastic cars with a screwdriver earlier on in the season. That's how the Phaeton Racer blew up. And, while trying to reassemble Dinoco, who I took apart for fun and then put back together, I accidentally messed up his bumper and damaged it in several pieces. And it looks bad, and Dinoco would later be rebuilt. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so in this episode, I'm sure I'm skipping like half of what happens because half of the episodes is not even related to the final plot. But part of it's like with a present, like with presents, it's something with I think one of the presents was tires, and Dinoco thinks says okay. Oh yeah, I remember again. So Dinoco shows up with asking about his present, I think, and to all of his suggestions, like is it the time machine and stuff like that. Mater says yes, despite it not being the case, and Dinoco ends up believing it's a time machine. Then he gets hit by a teleporter machine from Finn and Holly, and he ends up in a graveyard, and he thinks he's traveled into the future and thinks himself as a dead car, which is clearly a Hudson Hornet. Then he comes back to the others, probably without realizing that he didn't teleport back or anything. And that's like all I remember. I'm sure there was more to it.
That's pretty much it. The final scene is him talking about how he came to the future, and then he learns no. And there's this weird joke where, because this was another case of me using something I'd recently done. This was the first time we saw my graveyard cars. Very impressive customs by 2017 TIE standards. But, yeah.
Worth noting that the Dinoco in this episode would also go on to become a graveyard car.
Yeah, because this Dinoco was so damaged, he later became, I think, my 4th graveyard car customer, my 3rd one, something like that. And there's this weird joke where he thinks that the Hudson Hornet is him, which Robin mentioned, and he's like, oh wait, he's talking to the Cars Radio Springs afterwards, and he's like, wait, I thought every, I thought every, car turned into a Hudson Hornet when they died, and it's not funny. It's not funny. There is nothing funny in this season. There is nothing.
I'm just laughing about how bad it is, okay? I don't think it's funny. I just think it's
funny
how bad it is.
There's nothing good. It starts... Is this the one with the rapper joke? Yes, it is. Mater goes to Sally and he's like, Sally, have I ever told you I'm a really good rapper? And Sally's like, oh, really? You're a good rapper? Can you, like, give me a beat? And then Mater just starts, I think, beatboxing, and he just pulls out tape and wrapping paper as he wraps Dinoco's gift. Also, Finn and Holly and the teleporter is so dumb. It's so dumb. Can we move on? We're almost done. We're on the next 3 episodes, which are very okay. And it's another...
This is like one of... The next 3 episodes are like one of the highlights of early Cars Adventure,
yeah.
In my opinion.
Before we go over them, here, can I recap these? Because I actually rewatched these just before filming.
Okay.
I should also mention, there was originally like a more complex time travel episode. I think there was going to be like a part 2. I think there was going to be like a Christmas Carol parody with Cal in the place of Scrooge. And he was going to be sent through time via the time machine from Back to the Future. Because I have a 155 scale ornament. I have an ornament that's a 155 scale diecast car of the time machine from Back to the Future. Although that may have been a plan for the 2018 special, and I might just be mixing things up. Because, again, time travel back from the future.
You never used it.
I never did, no. But I may have had that idea in 2018 instead, and I'm just mixing things up. So the next 3 episodes are called Goodbye Mater, Airport Adventure, and Saving Mater. And like Robin said, they are easily highlights of early Cars Adventures. In Goodbye Mater... Highlight.
It also highlights of your overusage of hex trucks.
Yeah. So again, I just watched these before because I remember these being some of the best episodes. McQueen, we actually have like setup. It's a 3-minute 51-second episode, which is shockingly long for this season. And we actually have setup. Like actual plot setup. Lightning is putting away, he's stored Mater's Christmas gifts in Sarge's surplus hut. And he goes in there, and Mater's gone through them all, which makes Lightning mad. Then, they go tractor tipping, and Mater honks way too loud, and they get chased by Frank, which also makes Lightning mad. Then Lightning has captured the evil next-gen Jackson Storm, and Mater messes it up, which makes him mad. And Lightning blows up at Mater for constantly messing these things up, and they've decided that, as best friends, they have broken up. And then, Mater decides he's going to find a new best friend, which is Lubewig, who he's just randomly found. And in another joke that I think is honestly pretty funny, Lightning says, well, I have a new best friend too, when he looks to his side and Acer is trying to break into Lizzie's building. And he goes, Acer's my best friend, right, Acer? And Acer's like, quiet, kid, I'm trying to rob this place. And nobody does anything about it. And I think that's honestly really funny.
Brandon, I completely forgot that literally 11 shows up here, like, for no reason.
Who does?
The Acer.
Yeah, the Lemons. I thought you said 11, and I was like, what happened to 1 through 10? Is the girl from Stranger Things here? Her name's 11. Okay, so Mater...
I've never heard of her, so...
Yeah, I've never watched it, but, someone's gonna clip this and cancel me for not seeing a popular TV show. Oh, no. So Mater leaves in a Hess truck, and there's a really bad blooper I left in where the truck has an extending ramp, and I push it down and it accidentally shoots Mater way off screen when he's trying to dramatically leave. And since this is early Ty who didn't believe in reshooting things, they kept that in. Next episode is called Airport Adventure, and it's another really solid one. McQueen is explaining to Mac his whole story of what happened, and Mac takes McQueen off to try to get to the airport in time. Lightning then accidentally, I believe, gets stuck in a Hess truck, and then he finds himself stranded on the highway with no way to get there. Excuse the fact that Lightning McQueen is one of the world's fastest race cars, or was, and he decides that he's just going to take the highway instead of, using the fact that he goes super fast. He wants to get in a hauler. But anyway, because apparently that'll be faster. Anyway, Lightning is then stuck in the middle of the highway. And you know what? It's not that much of a problem. We still do that in Cars Adventures to this day, where Lightning has to take a hauler to get around places. It's easy for long distances. I just think it's funny. He's super fast, and he's like, Mac, hurry up. Anyway, he then is saved by Francesco, who, in an honestly really clever callback, is driving the truck that he bought his son for Christmas, the big remote control Hess truck. And the two go off together and get to the airport in time. And I guess I take back what I said about Lightning and the airport and everything, because it's and the highway and everything, because, I mean, to get to the airport, he would have to probably go on the highway, and I just don't know why he thinks taking a hauler is faster. Is that carpooling in the Cars universe? Can he go in the carpool lane now? So, Lightning gets to the airport, and he talks to the manager, which is Chisaki, which is a weird choice, but okay. Mater's taken off to go to the North Pole to seclude himself, to isolate himself. He pulled a Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, a movie that released 5 days before this episode came out.
Also, that randomly move to the North Pole, just like how Cars Adventure characters in general just casually travel between places which are on the other side of the world.
Yeah, well, he took a flight. We at least know that. Lightning takes a private jet to get there.
There's no flights to the North Pole.
The North Pole is treated like it's a continent here, which I think is really funny. It's treated like it's a country and not just,
It's literally just a sheet of ice floating on water.
It's just the top of the Earth. That's why it's called the North Pole. But it's, the North Pole, it being the North Pole is just vaguely connected to the fact that, Christmas. Anyway, Lightning's plane experiences turbulence and is deathly afraid of turbulence, so he says, screw this, and he drops Lightning in the ocean. And we get to the next episode, Saving Mater, where Mater is picked up by a helicopter who's doing a patrol run despite the fact he says he works at a gas station. This is a...
No, I think McQueen gets picked up because he's the one in the thumbnail in the helicopter.
Yeah, did I say Mater?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, McQueen gets picked up by a helicopter. And this helicopter would later be used in later Cars Adventures as Chrome Agent Thomas Davis. We'll get to him later. He's the one has truck I still use. And he, very convenient, and you better believe, because it's early Cars Adventures, there are 1,000 jokes of like, oh, isn't this convenient? He finds Mater, and Lightning talks Mater back into coming to Radiator Springs, and he apologizes.
Yeah.
The end. Anything you want to add for these? Because they're pretty good.
Nothing other than they're good.
You have anything else to say for them?
Wait, let me check my notes. Oh, right, I have... It says help audio, so I assume there was something with the audio that annoyed me.
Anything else?
That's literally all I have for this episode.
Okay, well, pretty good for this season. We then move on to the last minute. And this is another one that I honestly kind of like. Lightning and Cal are going off. Lightning is going off to get Sally a Christmas gift, which is a pillow. And Sally and Flo are going off to get the same Christmas gift, and we see the exact same scene play out between the two groups of cars. And they're at this store with like the world's fluffiest pillow or something dumb like that, and that's what Lightning wants to buy Sally, and that's what Sally wants to buy Lightning. But there's only one, until Mac drives into the store in the mall. Don't know how he fit, but okay. Mall stores are usually very small, and he found another one.
It's a Cars world. The haulers would have to go to the shops as well, so... But without the trailer.
Well, he comes in with the trailer and drops off the pillow. And this is another one I honestly kind of like. I like how I repeat the same shots and scenes with the different characters, but there's one big thing that ruins this episode for me.
Which is?
A minute-long song that has nothing to do with the episode. Songs in Cars Adventures are fine.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, I also wrote that in my notes. Red notes. Random Cal song.
So, somebody asks, like, Cal Weathers, like... somebody forgets Cal's name, and Cal just drops an entire minute-and-a-half long song number. And, that's it. He has this whole song with Dinoco backing up about how he's Cal Weathers, and it's bad, it's dumb, and this episode would have made my top 3 if this song wasn't in it. It's not a bad Cars Adventures song. It is a bad song, but by early Cars Adventures standards, it's one of the better songs, I think, but it sucks, and it really brings the episode down. Otherwise, very good episode, and honestly, a pretty good Christmas episode. This one is called Christmas Special Part 2, to follow up the Christmas Rush, which was Christmas Special Part 1. They have nothing to do with each other, but since they're both Christmas specials, they're both labeled as Christmas
Except
specials.
that they're both shopping episodes.
Wow, that's pretty deep. Nothing says Christmas like shopping. Great message, Ty. Buy people things!
Yeah. Okay, can I do the final episode?
Yes, please. It has nothing to do with Christmas, other than it takes place on Christmas Eve, I believe.
Yeah, and so basically this episode starts out with the evil Next Gens planning out their next move.
It's called... is it just called Customs Race?
It's Customs Race, literally.
That's dumb.
The title... Yeah.
That...
So...
because the YouTuber Customs
basically,
are racing.
that's because the majority of the episodes is basically the YouTuber Next Gens, which are customs, hence the title, are having a race, and Dinoco gets blown up. Which is setting up for future plots.
Was that All in All again? Is that a
like,
tie into earlier in the season?
I'd assume it's through All in All. I'm not sure if it was explained. And the episodes, so everybody gathers around him as he's like blown into pieces.
Yes, it is. It is because Jackson Storm. I'm going through the episode now. Jackson is seen to be the one. We see all the Next Gens together, and it is Jackson who decides to. Yeah, he's gonna blow him up.
Yeah, and the episode ends with Ramon saying, "It's a Christmas miracle. I've rebuilt him," and then it ends.
Yeah, this was my impromptu finale to explain. Well, I mean, everything's impromptu. It's early Cars Adventures. I had no idea what I was doing throughout the entire season, and after the Dynaco custom broke, which I mentioned earlier, I had to give an in-canon reason for why Dynaco was going to be changed, to have his design changed. So this does, tie in stuff from earlier with the all-in-all explosions, which is strange because Sterling was the one blowing them up, and now we're back to Jackson doing it.
Yeah, whoa. That's not all that strange if you consider where we end up going in the next. I think it's the next season.
Yeah, but still, for now, it's weird and it's inconsistent. And again, there is a canon reason for it later. This episode just ends the season with another example of why I don't like it. Bad title. Bad presentation. Why is it Customs Race?
Not YouTube. If it was YouTube called YouTuber's Race, it would have already been way better.
It was done, I think, to boost views. Because, people like custom cars. So, there we go.
Maybe the YouTubers who you made customs would watch it.
Yeah, so it would get at least 5 views.
I'm not sure the comments even still up on
this. The comments are not still on this one now.
So,
I guess it is nice to see that plot line that ended 16 episodes into the season does sort of come back here. And like Robin said, it alludes to things later, which is good. But I was pretty content with when the season plot ended at episode 16. And, it ends things here. It ended things there, and everything was resolved, and then we just got Christmas episodes. I know that explaining what happened with Dynaco was a necessity, and I think it's fine, especially how it's handled later on in the show, which is not a compliment towards this season, it's a compliment towards me later on. But, I know I was dealt a bad hand with my Dynaco breaking, but, it ends the season on a downer note, man. It's not a good... I mean, I guess we did have 2 holiday specials beforehand, but still, I would have preferred, a sweet, Christmas finale, but we didn't get that.
Yeah, but, yeah.
It's a Christmas
miracle.
Should we get
to our overall thoughts on the season?
Should we do top 3 first? And then...
No, normally, I think... let's just do top 3.
I think we did top 3 and then final verdict. Because I have my final verdict written down.
Yeah.
Do you want to do your number 3 first?
Yeah, my number 3, I kind of switched it around earlier today, but after we went through the episode in exact, then I decided to change it back again. On my 3, it's actually The Revenge of Jackson Storm.
Really?
That is mostly because there's stop motion in there.
Alright.
Because of the stop motion racing.
My number 3...
Because you know me, I'm a stop motion guy, so yeah.
Man, this is tough. I think, nothing in this season is very good, but I think my number 3... Man, I had number 3. I do not remember what I said it was going to be. I think my number 3 is going to be the Christmas Rush. It's not very good. Most of the season is not very good, but it does have a fun plot with Lightning trying to get a toy, and there's a whole fight there. It's not good, but there are very few options in this season, and this one at least is memorable to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, then I'll go with my number 2, which is for episode 4-11, Rise of the Next Generation Racers. Mostly because I like the fact that Ed Trunken didn't turn evil. It wasn't just every next gen that isn't a YouTuber turns evil. So he turned good. So that's why that one is second, because I just like the idea of next gen turning good.
I love that these episodes are so bad that your reason for liking that one is one decision I made and not anything in the episode itself. That's how bad this season is.
I mean, that's pretty much what I base most of my decisions on, to be honest.
My number 2 is Cal versus Mater, Season 4, Episode 6. Like I said, this episode's very memorable to me. And I think the concept of Cal and Mater fighting over the same girl. Something about that is just funny to me. It's so beyond stupid and unrealistic, and Holly is way out of Cal's league. Or maybe vice versa. He's a famous race car. I just think it's a funny concept, and there is some funny stuff in there, especially when Cal turns himself into a monster truck and Mater tries to quote Star Wars. It's a memorable episode to me, and I think it's just one of the more memorable ones in Cars Adventures. And in a season where everything is so bad and forgettable, I'm glad I at least have one that I could think of when I think of this season and go, yeah, that was not that good, but it was funny. It was fun. And then I guess we move on to number one.
Yeah, and then I think for number one, we'll just. I think we both have the same one here.
We do.
At least we had.
Usually we don't. Usually we don't share the top three list beforehand, but since we already recorded this one, we already know. So do you want to go ahead and say it?
Yeah, it's actually not one episode; it's 3 episodes combined. They could together make for like a longer episode nowadays, but it's episode 20, episode 21, and episode 22. Basically, the Mater leaves the town plot.
Yeah, this is just like Robin said. There's not much to say here because we said a lot of good about this when we were reviewing the episodes. It's just a highlight of early Cars Adventures. The plot is actually established and set up within the episode and not within a random scene in another one. We understand why Lightning is mad at Mater and why Mater wants to leave. I'm putting all 3 here at spot number 1. In future seasons, I don't think we could do this anymore. I'm letting this one slide because, they're short.
But we did it. I did it several times in the previous episodes of this.
Yeah, because this season and the last few seasons all do a lot of back-to-back episodes that are connected. Future seasons, when stuff is more established and more happens in each episode, I think we gotta ban that from the top 3 lists. Originally, I was just gonna include the first episode of the arc, because it does drag a little bit, as much as I love the airport adventure episode, and it's really, really satisfying. I was rewatching it before filming this today, and I completely forgot the fact that Francesco shows up in the truck from earlier on in the season. I was like, that's actually a time we've had payoff in early Cars Adventures. It's really satisfying to see Francesco come through for Lightning here. The third episode is also really dramatically shot for early Cars Adventures. I really like it with the dark lighting, and the scene where Lightning is rescued especially stands out visually to me. There's very little going on visually in early Cars Adventures, but still, I think it's notable. And yeah, it's a solid 3 episodes. Solid arc. Probably some of the best episodes we've seen so far.
I think that you've pretty much said all of it. I've got nothing to add to that.
It's not without its flaws, because it does have like super forced fourth wall breaks, but...
Yeah. Okay, so now our final opinion. Should I go first? Because I know you write them down. I don't write them down.
Go for it.
So I'm just gonna ramble. So basically, this season, it's a mess, but not as big of a mess as season 3, and it has good points, bad points. It's like Cars Adventures wasn't quite turning to the what we know it today yet, but I think the first seeds of better Cars Adventures were laid in this season, even though we now look at it back as it's not a great season. But I think the first seeds for Cars Adventures, especially also with the final episode, which also sets somewhat up for the conflict between good and evil next gens, and it sets a lot up, and it's basically it's planted the seeds for what Cars Adventures is today.
Yeah. So I'll go over my final verdict, and then I have one thing that I didn't write down, because this season is pretty notable for several things. But first, my final verdict here is... Where is it? Here we go. Okay. I found it. The episodes of this season are way too short, and the season once again features several small, barely connected arcs. The season does actually have an overarching plotline, and it sometimes is clever, like with how we learn everything is connected with Sterling and the criminal hauler. However, there are weird episode breaks and gaps that destroy the season's momentum. There's also a bit of clickbait, which is annoying. The season's a bit better than what came before it. Things feel a bit more fleshed out. The episode length is its biggest problem, but at least it means that bad episodes don't last long. And... this season, at the beginning of the episode, I said this is my least favorite season. Upon rewatch, I don't think it is anymore. I think seasons 1 and 3 are worse than season 4.
Yeah. I have to agree on that.
Like I said, the biggest problem that I have is still the clickbait and the episode lengths, but the episodes themselves are some of the most okay Cars Adventures stuff we've seen so far. They're not good, they're very bad, but we are slowly getting better. And this season has a lot of lasts in it. There's a lot of stuff in this season, because this is the last season of the year. There's a lot of stuff in this season that changes, or that we don't see again. Because Cars Adventures would have sort of an overhaul after this season. Cars Adventures would return just a few days later for Season 5, which would have a bunch of new stuff in it, most notably the Precision Series buildings, because I got a ton of them for Christmas that year. Fillmore's, the Cozy Cone, and Mater's building would all be replaced with their official Mattel counterparts. Sarge's would come afterwards. I also received the Piston Cup Racing Garage for the first time, which is a very frequently used location in Cars Adventures, and several new cars, most notably the Next Gen 4-pack. The characters from the Next Gen 4-pack play a huge role in the next season, especially Barry D. Peddle, and it should be noted that next season is, in my opinion, the first season of Cars Adventures that's not terrible. It still has a lot of the problems we've seen before, but I came into this season reinvigorated and disappointed with Season 4 when I made it. I didn't want these clickbaity short episodes anymore. I didn't like it as soon as it was done, and I knew I had to make a change. And with the new items I'd gotten, I was inspired to take things further, and yeah, that's how we got Season 5.
You just like did the intro for the next podcast already.
Yeah, but that's just preparation for next time.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of not next time though, right? Are we still doing what our original plan was for the next episode?
We'll decide on that later. Okay.
Okay. Well, our original plan, because there was something else that released at the same time as Season 4, which was my Hey Cal movie, which is Cars Adventures adjacent. It takes place in the past, but it is part of the Cars Adventures continuity. And I released that in mid-December, about halfway or towards the end of this season. So, next episode, if you guys want to see it, might actually be a review of Hey Cal, which I don't think you've ever seen before, right?
Only the first part.
Well, you're in for...
But we'll see if we'll watch, if we can save our brain cells to watch it.
Right. Anyway, thank you once again for joining me. Any last words?
No, not really.
The season's bad. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, which hopefully isn't 6 months from now. Bye now.